Welcome back, my weirdlings. We have stepped into quarter 2 of Raven's Lorecast, the season of thresholds. If quarter 1 was about origins, about where we come from, quarter 2 is about crossing. Crossing out of what no longer fits, crossing toward what is becoming, crossing the quiet line between survival and alignment. You don't have to be perfect to cross. You only have to be willing. So wherever you're listening from, I'm glad you're here. Because this quarter, we are not chasing perfection. We are practicing becoming. All right, weird ones. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. Let's begin. Weird ones, come in. Take a breath with me. In and out. Good. If you've got a candle nearby, light it. If you don't, imagine one. Magic has never cared about props. It cares about attention. Tonight, we're continuing our Year 1 Divination series, the foundational work, the How Humans First Learned to Listen work. And I want to say this clearly at the top because it matters. Divination is not superstition. Divination is not a performance. Divination is not you begging the universe for answers like it's a vending machine. Divination is an ancient human skill. Pattern recognition, symbol reading, intuition sharpened by practice, meaning making in a world that doesn't come with a user manual. And tonight, we're talking about one of the most famous divination tools in the modern world, tarot. But not tarot as a party trick, not tarot as a panic spiral, not tarot as, tell me what's going to happen to me so I don't have to live my life. Tonight is tarot as it's meant to be, a language, a mirror, a conversation. Because tarot doesn't give you the answer. Tarot gives you the question beneath the question, the real question, the one your nervous system is asking, the one your spirit has been circling, the one your mouth can't quite say out loud. So if you're a baby witch listening tonight, wide-eyed, hungry, curious, trying to learn the foundations without getting drowned in nonsense, you are in the right place. And if you're a seasoned crone listening tonight, someone who's been practicing for decades, someone who knows the difference between truth and theatrics, you are also in the right place. Because this is Raven's Lorecast. We do witchcraft with reverence. We do history with respect. We do magic like grown adults. And we do divination the way it deserves, ethically, intelligently, and without fear. So settle in, because tonight we're going to cover where tarot actually comes from, what it is and what it is not, why it works even for skeptics, and how to use it in a way that strengthens your agency instead of stealing it. Take one more breath with me. In and out. Good. Let's go into the lore. My weirdlings, let's start with the history. Because if we're going to use a tool, we honor it by knowing where it came from. And tarot has one of the most misunderstood origin stories in modern witchcraft. So I'm going to give you the truth, the historically grounded version, and I'm going to do it without ruining the magic. Because real history doesn't weaken witchcraft. it strengthens it. Tarot did not begin as an ancient Egyptian book of secrets. It did not descend from Atlantis. It was not carved into the walls of some forgotten temple. Tarot began, very simply, as a card game in Europe in the 1400s. And I know some people get weird about that, like it makes tarot less mystical. But I want you to understand what that really means. Tarot was born in the hands of human beings, in daily life, in laughter and play, in story. And that's exactly why it works so well. Because tarot is not a tool of distant gods. Tarot is a tool of human pattern making. The earliest tarot decks we know of came out of Italy in the 15th century. They were called things like trionfi, triumphs. They weren't originally designed for divination. They were designed for a kind of storytelling game, a visual hierarchy of symbols that people already understood. Rulers, virtues, death, fate, love, chaos, power, justice, transformation. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's the human condition. The Major Arcana, the big archetypal cards, were never random. They were a symbolic language of life's forces. And even in their earliest forms, they reflected the medieval worldview, religious imagery, social order, morality tales, the turning wheel of fortune. Not because tarot is Christian, but because those were the symbols available in that cultural moment. And this is where we start learning the first college-level truth about tarot. Tarot is not timeless because it never changes. Tarot is timeless because humans keep finding themselves inside it. Now here's the real question. If tarot started as a game, why does it work? Why do people pull cards and feel like they've been seen? Why do skeptics get chills? Why do seasoned witches treat it like a sacred conversation? Here's why. Tarot works because it's a system of archetypes. Archetypes are not woo. They are psychological patterns that repeat across human life. You don't need to believe in magic to recognize archetypes. You just need to be alive. The fool, the magician, the high priestess, the tower, death, the star. These aren't fortune-telling props. They're mirrors. They reflect the stages we all move through: beginnings, risk, love, betrayal, loss, awakening, rebirth, choice, consequence, integration. Tarot doesn't predict your life like a script. Tarot contextualizes your life like a map. Now, historically, tarot became associated with esotericism and occult practice later, especially in the 1700s and 1800s. This is where you start seeing writers and mystics linking tarot to astrology, Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, hermetic symbolism, and other systems of correspondences. And here's the Raven level nuance. Some of that material is beautiful. Some of it is deeply meaningful. Some of it is historically shaky as hell. And we can hold all of that truth at the same time, because tarot is not made sacred by a perfect origin story. Tarot is made sacred by how it is used. Now let's talk about the deck most modern people are thinking of when they say tarot. The Rider-Waite-Smith deck, published in 1909, became the blueprint for modern tarot. And I need you to know something important. Pamela Coleman Smith was the artist, and her illustrations changed everything. Because earlier decks had simpler pip cards in the Minor Arcana, just swords, cups, wands, coins. But Smith illustrated full scenes. And when you add scenes, you add story. When you add story, you add accessibility. That's why tarot exploded in the modern era. It became readable by more than scholars and ceremonial magicians. It became readable by people with instinct, by people with trauma, by people with imagination, by people with hunger, by people who needed a mirror. Tarot isn't telling you what happens. It's showing you what's happening. Now, here's the most important part of this entire episode. Tarot is not a tool for surrendering your power. Tarot is a tool for returning to it. A healthy tarot reading doesn't say, "This is your fate, good luck." A healthy tarot reading says, "Here's the pattern. Here's the energy. Here's the lesson. Here's the door. Here's what you can choose." Tarot is not a verdict. Tarot is a conversation. And that's why tarot questions matter, because the quality of your reading depends on the quality of your question. Not because the universe is picky, because your mind is, because your heart is, because your nervous system is trying to get your attention. Most people ask tarot questions like this. Will they come back? Is this going to work? What's going to happen to me? Am I doomed? Should I quit? Is this my soulmate? And I'm not judging you for asking those. Those are human questions. But tarot doesn't thrive on yes-no. Tarot thrives on depth. Because the real question underneath those questions is usually something like, what am I afraid to face? What am I avoiding? What am I ready to learn? What do I need to release? What truth am I refusing to name? What part of me is asking to grow up? Where am I giving away my agency? What do I already know but don't want to admit? That's where tarot becomes divination. Not because it predicts, because it reveals. Now let's make this crystal clear. Tarot is powerful, and because it's powerful, it can be misused. If you are reading tarot for yourself, here are the ethical pillars. Number 1, tarot is a tool, not a ruler. You don't live by the cards, you consult them. Number 2, tarot is not a substitute for professional care. It can support mental health work, not replace it. Number 3, tarot should increase agency, not dependency. If you feel like you can't make a decision without pulling cards, pause. Number 4, tarot is not permission to invade people's privacy. What are they thinking is not a question. What do I need to know to move forward is. Number 5, tarot doesn't override consent. You don't read for someone who didn't ask. That's Raven's Lorecast canon. We do not use divination to control. We use divination to understand. And here's the last truth I want you to carry into segment 3. The cards are paper, ink, symbol, story. The magic isn't the cardboard. The magic is your ability to see yourself inside the pattern, to recognize what's repeating, to recognize what's changing, to recognize what's ready. Tarot isn't telling you what to do. Tarot is asking you, what do you know? What do you fear? What do you want? What are you becoming? And now we're going to look at the sky. Because on April 19th, the sky is doing something very tarot-like. It's putting tension and beauty in the same frame. It's offering you a hard reset and a soft blessing at the exact same time. So let's go into celestial happenings. My bright ones, if segment 2 was the lecture hall, segment 3 is the observatory. Because here's what I love about the sky. It doesn't care what you believe. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't need your approval. It just moves. And if you learn how to watch it, really watch it, you start to understand why divination exists at all. You start to understand why divination exists at all. Humans didn't invent divination because we're irrational. We invented it because we live inside patterns, seasons, cycles, waxes and wanes, beginnings and endings. And tonight, April 19th, 2026, the cosmos is doing something that feels exactly like tarot. It's offering you a hard truth and a soft blessing in the same breath. So let's talk about what's happening in the sky, and then I'm going to translate it into the kind of symbolic language your nervous system can actually use. First, the moon. Tonight, the moon is a waxing crescent, a slender curve of light just starting to rebuild itself. And it's in Taurus, which is one of the most underrated placements for lunar magic. Because Taurus doesn't do drama. Taurus does repair. Taurus does stability. Taurus does, I will not abandon my body just because my emotions are loud. This is the moon that says, come back to the physical world, touch something, eat something, rest, build something that lasts. A waxing crescent moon is the phase of intention, beginning again, making a plan you can actually keep, putting down the first brick instead of fantasizing about the whole castle. It's not flashy, it's sacred. Now let's talk about Venus, because Venus is home in Taurus. Venus in Taurus is sensuality without shame. It's pleasure without permission slips. It's the part of you that remembers you're allowed to enjoy your life even while you're becoming. And I need you to hear me when I say this. In a world that profits from your insecurity, pleasure is rebellion. Venus in Taurus is the Empress energy of the tarot, embodied, rooted, fertile, creative, patient, unbothered. This isn't sparkle magic. This is, I know what I'm worth magic. And then, threaded into this little twilight constellation of beauty, we have the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, one of the most beloved star clusters in human history. They show up in stories across cultures as sisters, maidens, seekers, spirits, stars you can almost count but never fully hold. And that's the energy they bring tonight. The reminder that some things are meant to be approached gently, not conquered, not forced, not solved, just witnessed. The Pleiades feel like the star card in tarot. Hope that doesn't need proof yet. Healing that begins before you believe in it. Light that returns quietly. So in the western sky after sunset, we have this trio. A crescent moon, Venus blazing bright, the Pleiades twinkling between them. And bright ones, this is a yes. This is the cosmos saying, even in the middle of pressure, there is still beauty. Even in the middle of work, there is still sweetness. Even in the middle of becoming, you are still allowed to be held. If you were pulling tarot cards and you got something like the Empress, the Star, the Moon, you'd know what it meant. You are being guided back to yourself. You're being reminded that softness is not weakness. You are being asked to trust the slow return of light. But, and here comes the other half of the sky. Tonight's biggest headline is Mars meeting Saturn in Aries. Mars is action, heat, drive, impulse, fight, desire. Saturn is structure, limits, boundaries, consequences, time, reality. So when Mars and Saturn collide in Aries, the sign of ignition, identity, and forward motion, we get a moment that can feel like go, stop, go, stop. It's frustrating. It's volatile. It's the cosmic version of trying to run through a door that hasn't been unlocked yet. Astrologically, people call this a high tension aspect, and they're not wrong. But I want to frame it correctly for this episode, because we're in tarot territory now. Mars plus Saturn is the Tower meeting the Emperor. It's collapse meeting control, pressure meeting resistance, the part of you that wants freedom meeting the part of you that demands safety. This can show up as anger you didn't know you had, exhaustion from carrying too much, impatience with slow progress, conflict between desire and responsibility, the urge to burn everything down and start over. And listen, sometimes that urge is not self-sabotage. Sometimes that urge is the truth. Sometimes it's the soul saying, this structure isn't supporting you anymore. But Saturn makes you do it the grown-up way. No impulsive explosions, no scorched earth, no drama for the aesthetic. Saturn says, if you want change, you're going to build it. And Mars says, fine, hand me the hammer. Now add Mercury and Aries into the mix, close to Saturn. Mercury rules communication. Aries communication is fast, direct, sometimes spicy. Mercury near Saturn can feel like mental heaviness, serious conversations, truth that has weight, delays or blocks that force you to slow down and think. So tonight, if your thoughts feel louder than usual, or your mouth feels like it wants to say something irreversible, pause. Not because you're weak, because you're wise. This is not the night to speak just to relieve pressure. This is the night to speak with intention. This is the night to ask, what am I trying to protect? What am I trying to control? What am I afraid will happen if I tell the truth? Tarot question energy. And then The sun leaves Aries and enters Taurus today, which means the sky is literally shifting from spark to sustain. Aries season is the match. Taurus season is the hearth. Aries is, I begin. Taurus is, I keep going. And that matters because the energy of this episode is about tarot. And tarot is not about one dramatic moment. Tarot is about the pattern, the process, the cycle, the long arc. So if you feel like April has been chaotic or emotionally loud, the sun moving into Taurus is the cosmos saying, okay, now we stabilize. Now we choose what's worth building. Now we choose what we keep. Now we stop being impressed by intensity and start being impressed by consistency. We also have comet pan-stars reaching perihelion today, the closest point to the sun. It's technically in the morning sky, but visibility is getting harder because it's near the sun's glare. And I love the symbolism of that, because sometimes the message is real, but you can't quite see it yet. Sometimes the omen is there, but it's hidden behind brightness. Sometimes the truth is present, but your nervous system can't look directly at it yet. So if you're feeling like, I know something is changing, but I can't name it, that's comet energy. That's the universe whispering through fog. And finally, the Lyrids are active right now, peaking April 22nd. You might see a few meteors late at night. Not a full spectacle every minute, but enough to remind you there is always motion overhead. There is always fire somewhere. There is always a little magic falling through the atmosphere, even when your life feels mundane. Now let me translate the entire sky into tarot language, Raven style. Tonight is a spread, and it looks like this. Number 1, Mars plus Saturn in Aries equals the Tower plus the Emperor. The hard reset, the reality check, the boundary you can't negotiate anymore. Number 2, the Moon plus Venus plus Pleiades in Taurus equals the Empress and the Star. The softness that keeps you alive, the pleasure that restores you, the hope that returns quietly. Number 3, Sun into Taurus equals the Hierophant and the world. The values, the stability, the long-term path, the what do you actually want your life to feel like? Question. So if you're listening tonight and you're feeling pulled in two directions, like you want to burn it all down and be held, congratulations, you're human. And the sky is saying both things are true. You can outgrow what no longer fits you and still treat yourself gently while you do it. You can set boundaries and still be soft. You can become someone new without punishing the person you used to be. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Here's a quick ritual you can do tonight. No cards required. Step outside if you can. Find the moon. Find Venus. And if you've got binoculars or sharp eyes, look for the Pleiades between them. Put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and say, I do not rush my becoming. I do not abandon my body. I do not confuse intensity with truth. I choose what lasts. I remember the way. and then come back inside. Because you're about to move into Kitchen Witchery, and tonight's recipe isn't about restriction. It's about alignment. It's about nourishment. It's about building a body that can hold the life you're trying to create. So let's go to the kitchen. Okay, baby cakes. After that sky, after Mars and Saturn squaring up like two gods in a parking lot, after the moon and Venus and the Pleiades show up looking like a blessing you didn't earn but desperately needed, I'm going to tell you something that might save your sanity the next time you pull cards. Eat first. Not as an afterthought, not as a self-care bonus round, not as a cute aesthetic moment where you light a candle and pretend you don't have a body. Eat first because tarot is not just spiritual. Tarot is neurological. It's emotional. It's somatic. And if you try to do divination while you're underfed, overstimulated, dehydrated, and running on pure anxiety fumes, congratulations. You're not receiving messages from the universe. You're dissociating with props. So tonight, we ground. We anchor. We feed the animal part of you that is still a mammal, still a creature, still a being who needs warmth and salt and substance before we go chasing symbols. Tonight's Kitchen Witchery is a vegan grounding hash. Simple, bold, deeply satisfying. Built to settle your body into safety so your intuition can rise without panic. This is the meal you eat before you ask the cards, what do I need to know? Because the cards don't need you starving. They need you present. The vegan grounding hash. Roasted red pepper plus red skin potato hash with black beans, lemon, and tarragon, with a hint of chipotle, avocado oil, and sunflower seeds for crunch. This is a Pentacles spell in a skillet. It's Venus in Taurus in a bowl. It's I'm here, I'm real, I'm safe on a fork. You'll need 3 to 4 red skin potatoes, diced small. Leave the skin on. 1 roasted red pepper, sliced or chopped. Jarred is fine. We are not performing for anyone. 1/2 of a red onion, thin sliced. 3 to 4 cloves garlic minced. 1 cup black beans, rinsed and drained. Zest of 1 lemon plus a squeeze of lemon juice. 1 to 2 teaspoons of chipotle powder or to taste. Red pepper flakes, optional for extra spark. Salt and black pepper. Fresh tarragon, chopped or dried if needed. Avocado oil for sautéing and a final drizzle. Sunflower seeds for a crunchy topping. Optional, but absolutely gorgeous. A handful of greens stirred in at the end, something like spinach or arugula. Or a splash of veggie broth if things start sticking. A wedge of lemon served on the side, like a little altar offering. Why these ingredients work? Here's the symbol and function. Because we don't cook random, we compose. And every ingredient here is doing 2 jobs at once, feeding the body and anchoring the spirit. Red skin potatoes are earth, stability, the body's yes. Potatoes are grounding without apology. They are the root that says, stop spiraling, come back. They're humble, they're ancient. They're the kind of food that has kept people alive through hard seasons. That matters in divination because tarot isn't meant to replace your survival instincts. It's meant to refine them. Roasted red pepper is fire with sweetness. Roasting transforms. It takes something sharp and makes it tender. It takes rawness and makes it edible. That's what we're doing with ourselves tonight. Not suppressing the fire, but softening it into something we can hold. Red onion and garlic is clarity and protection. These are the ingredients that cut through the fog. Onion says, I'm going to make you feel it. Garlic says, and you're going to be safe while you do. Together, they're the boundary spell you don't have to chant. Black beans are endurance, grounded power. Beans are the slow burn. They're not dramatic, they're dependable. They're the energy you can build a life on. If Mars and Saturn are colliding in the sky tonight, this is what you eat so you don't try to fight the entire universe with your bare hands. Lemon is wakefulness, clean truth. Lemon is clarity without cruelty. It doesn't numb you, it wakes you up. Lemon says, here, this is what's real. Chipotle is Mars with wisdom. Chipotle is fire that's been through something. It's heat with history. It's not chaotic spice, it's controlled. It's the perfect seasoning for a night when the sky is screaming, act, and Saturn is whispering, but do it right. Tarragon, the quietly magical herb. Tarragon is the curveball. It's a little mysterious, a little herbal, a little strange in the best way. It's the ingredient that says, this isn't just food, this is ritual. Tarragon feels like tarot itself, subtle, symbolic, impossible to fully pin down. The avocado oil represents Venus and softness, the nervous system ease. Avocado oil is richness without heaviness. It coats the system gently. It tells the body you don't have to brace anymore. And yes, baby cakes, softness is a spell. Sunflower seeds, the sun card. Sunflower seeds are brightness. They're the reminder that growth is real. They add crunch, and crunch matters because your nervous system loves proof. A crunchy topping is a little sensory anchor that says, I'm here. I'm in my mouth. I'm in my body. I'm not floating away. Here's the ritual. Cook like you mean it. Step 1, ground the earth. The potatoes come first. Heat a skillet with avocado oil. Add your diced potatoes with a pinch of salt and pepper. Let them cook slowly, and I mean slowly. Tarot is patient. Earth is patient. You don't rush potatoes. You let them become. Stir occasionally, but not constantly. Let them brown. Let them crisp. Let them earn their magic. As they cook, say, I return to my body. I return to what is real. I build a foundation that holds me. Step 2, add the threshold, the onion and garlic. When the potatoes are halfway done, add your red onion. Let it soften into sweetness. Then add garlic and let the scent rise like a ward. This is the moment where your kitchen becomes a temple, not because it's fancy, because you're paying attention. Whisper, my clarity is protected. My questions are sacred. My answers arrive in time. Step 3, bring in the fire, the chipotle and red pepper. Add chipotle powder and red pepper flakes. Stir it through. Let it toast in the oil for a few seconds. This is the spell work moment, the moment you claim your will. Say, I act with intention. I do not confuse urgency with truth. Step 4, add the transformation. Add your roasted red pepper, then your black beans. Let the beans warm through, soaking up the flavors. This is where the meal becomes steady. This is where your body goes, oh, okay, we're safe. Step 5, the brightening. Turn the heat down. Add the lemon zest, squeeze of lemon juice, then your tarragon. This is the lift, the return of light, the whisper of Venus and the Pleiades. Stir gently and say, may my insight be clear. May my heart stay soft. May my knowing be kind. Step 6, plate with intention and finish the spell. Spoon it into a bowl. Drizzle avocado oil over the top. Sprinkle sunflower seeds like a tiny constellation. And pause, just for a breath. Because this is the part where you remember you're not trying to impress anyone. You're feeding yourself so your spirit can do its work without your nervous system screaming. Now this part matters. Before you pull a single card tonight, take 3 bites. Slow. Present. Let the salt anchor you. Let the warmth settle you. Let the chipotle wake you up. Let the lemon clear the static. Let the sunflower seeds crunch you back into the moment. And then, when you're ready, say, I am grounded enough to ask. I am safe enough to listen. I am steady enough to receive. That's how you do tarot without turning it into obsession. That's how you do divination without losing yourself. That's how you let the cards become a mirror, not a leash. Weird ones, tonight's hash is not just food. It's a boundary. It's a foundation. It's a reminder that your intuition lives inside a body, and that body deserves to be cared for before you demand prophecy from it. So eat, ground, and then let's go to the cards, because next we're going to talk about what it means to read responsibly, to ask better questions, and to remember that divination doesn't end with an answer. It ends with you becoming someone who can hold the truth. Weird ones, if you remember nothing else from tonight, not the history, not the archetypes, not the celestial choreography, remember this. Tarot is not here to run your life. Tarot is here to return you to it. The cards are not a throne. They are not a judge. They are not a prophecy machine. They are a mirror with teeth. And the real magic isn't in pulling the right card. The real magic is in learning how to ask a question that tells the truth. Because tarot doesn't answer the question you say. It answers the question you mean. It answers the question under the question. So the next time you sit down with your deck, especially when you're anxious, especially when you're heartbroken, especially when you're tempted to treat the cards like a life raft, pause. Put your hand on your body, eat something, breathe, and ask yourself, Am I looking for insight or am I looking for control? Because those are not the same thing. And tarot will always know the difference. Here's what I want you to practice this week: a simple, ethical, powerful way to work with the cards that builds skill without building dependency. Pull one card, just one, and ask, what do I need to understand right now so I can take one honest step forward? Not 10 steps, not the whole map, not the 5-year plan. One step, one truth, one piece of clarity you can actually carry. And when you get your card, don't ask it to decide for you. Ask it to reveal you. Ask, what is this card asking me to notice? What part of me is speaking through this image? What choice becomes available if I accept what I see? That's how you build a relationship with tarot that strengthens your sovereignty. That's how you become the kind of witch who can hold symbolism without drowning in it. Because tarot is not about predicting your future. Tarot is about teaching you how to live in your present with your eyes open. And my weird ones, that is the entire point of divination. Not certainty, consciousness. Not control, connection. Not superstition, skill. So if tonight stirred something in you, if it cracked open a door you didn't know was locked, good. That means you're ready. Ready to ask better questions. Ready to stop begging the universe for answers you already carry. Ready to become a reader who doesn't just interpret cards, but interprets life. And I'll be right here with you as we keep building this foundation together. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, stay dangerous in the way that means you refuse to abandon yourself. If tonight stirred something in you, if a story caught, if a ritual settled into your bones, if a truth followed you into the quiet, that's the work. Quarter 2 is about thresholds, and thresholds aren't destinations, they're decisions. If you'd like to keep walking with me between episodes, you can find Raven's Lorecast on Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitter, Pinterest, and TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at ravens_lore_cast. These are where the conversation continues, the visuals unfold, and the circle stays open. If you're called to go even deeper, the Patreon door is there when you're ready. No pressure, no chasing. Just another threshold you can step through when it feels true. Until next time, wit, wisdom, witchcraft. See you at the doorway, my weirdlings.